back to the OKC Foodcast, your guide to the food in Oklahoma. And I'm joined by a very special guest today, Stefanie with OKC Sweets. But before we get into everything that Stefanie does and her amazing creations, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Vault 405, for sponsoring the pod and being such a great spot to come and work. If you're looking for a co-working space in downtown Edmond, look no further than Vault 405. You can come in for the day, for the month, get an office, a podcast studio, whatever you need. So check out Vault 405. Stefanie, how are you doing?
I'm doing so well. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Man, I guess we should just tell everyone. We'll just start that right out the gate, and then we'll talk about that later. But you just won something incredible.
Yeah, like the craziest thing I could possibly imagine. I won a holiday baking competition with Gordon Ramsay.
Next level baker.
Yes.
Man, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I can't even believe that whole experience was real life. And yeah, it's just been the most exciting thing. And it's been so much fun to get to finally share it with everybody.
I bet. I can't believe you sat on that for so long. All right. So before we get too far into that, because I have all sorts of questions, because I'm a big Gordon Ramsay fan and a big Next Level Chef fan, which this was a spin-off of. So if anyone's watched that, go watch Next Level Baker. Same thrill, but with baking, which is maybe some would say slightly higher stakes. Because it's a little harder to recover.
Right. It was so intense. Yeah. Because if you make a mistake on your cake, like, it's hard to start that over.
Yeah. Because you can't speed up baking.
Right.
Which is why I don't bake. All right. So first things first. What's the favorite thing you ate this week?
Ooh, the favorite thing I ate this week. That's such a good question. I feel like I haven't had much to eat this week because I've been working so much. So give me a second and I'll come up with it. You know what? So the finale was this week or last week, and my aunt and uncle were in town. And so they wanted to treat us to like a nice dinner. So we went to Ramsay's Kitchen to celebrate because it just felt right to go to Ramsay's Kitchen since I won a Gordon Ramsay competition. And so they were amazing. They were so sweet. And they had flowers for me, and they got me a cake and champagne. And it was just like a really sweet experience. But I'm trying to remember, I had like a risotto there. It was like a truffle risotto. And it was really bomb. It was so delicious.
Nice. That sounds really good. Yeah, I remember eating Wellingtons at Gordon's restaurant.
Yes.
I like how I'm just calling him Gordon now.
I know.
I should call him Chef Ramsay, sorry.
We call him Uncle Gordon at our house.
Nice.
I know. It just feels right.
That's good. Favorite thing I ate this week? I think it'd have to be yesterday, and this is a little bit of a self-nom, as some people have said on the pod, and I like that. So a self-nom. We hosted a little brunch and bingo.
Fun.
And we made these breakfast burritos. And in the breakfast meat, I made keema, which is like a Pakistani-style ground beef.
Okay.
And I was like, I wonder if people like this, because every time I make something, I'm like, how do I make this mine, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just made some scrambled eggs, the burritos, the ground beef and cheese, and then grilled them off. And so they were little crispy burritos.
That sounds amazing.
People liked them. So and I'm like, hey, these turned out better than I expected.
Yes.
That's always fun.
I mean, that sounds so good. When I was pregnant with my twins, that was one of the things I craved was breakfast burritos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I ate them all the time.
I like breakfast burritos. The only thing I think I'd add to it would be, and this was probably good that I didn't attempt to do this because I'm always running behind, was create some sort of like salsa or sauce to go along with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the burritos were dry because the ground beef was kind of like stewed in tomatoes and stuff, so it wasn't like a dry meat. And then cheese obviously helps to it. But I just like condiments. And so
Yeah, I mean that sounds. Isn't it Richard Blais who says you always need a sauce?
you always need a sauce. I
That
like
sounds
it.
so good.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are really good.
Well, invite me over next time for brunch because that sounds right up my alley.
Done. Done. Okay, so Stefanie,
Yes.
you have OKC Sweets,
Yes.
which if someone doesn't follow you yet, definitely go do it because those creations look amazing.
Thank you.
Like you could just doom scroll just on your page. So what's the story behind that? I know you're self-taught and kind of just passionate about baking, and taking the step to kind of open your own brick and mortar is a big one for someone that's self-taught, and because we're all hesitant. Even if you're a pro, you're like, oh man, I'm about to, that's a hard step. So what's the story? How did it all start?
Yeah, so I think a big part of our story is that we're risk takers a little bit. And then like a big part is just we also have like really strong faith. So when we feel kind of led to do something, it's like, well, I mean, that's what we feel like God has placed on our hearts. And so not having that fear of the unknown is something that like I've learned and it's been a real benefit to just kind of our journey. But it started, so I'm actually trained, I'm a violinist, and my degrees are in music education. So that's something that not everybody knows about me. So I taught middle school orchestra for several years after my husband and I got married. And then I got pregnant with twins. So I'd always wanted to stay home when I had kids. That was just something I wanted to be able to do. And when our boys were born, they were super premature. They were born at 25 weeks. They were like 1 pound, 10 ounces at birth. They were tiny, tiny. Spent 81 days in the NICU. So it was a really just kind of traumatic experience. But when we brought them home, they came home 3 weeks before their due date, and they did so well. And it was such a huge blessing, but we also were very isolated because they had been so sick and still had so many risks of complications. We were pretty much just home all the time. And so I found myself, I'd always loved cooking and baking and things like that, feeding people. I find such great joy in feeding people delicious things. And so through just being home all the time, I found myself binge watching like the Great British Baking Show and then shows on the Food Network and things like that. Candace Nelson's Cupcake Wars was another one that I just watched and watched and watched. And she was one of the judges on Next Level Baker. So that was that kind of full circle for me. But through all of that, I had never, I'm sure I'd heard about grams in school, but didn't really remember what they were. But through watching the Great British Baking Show, I was just introduced to this like world of weighing ingredients. And I think what really struck me about that show is that they're all home bakers, right? So everybody was a home baker. And so I started just kind of experimenting and doing things on my own and realizing that I really had a knack for creating flavors and putting things together and making just delicious things. And that kind of catapulted me into starting a home bakery business because Oklahoma had just passed the cottage law or whatever it's called. So you could bake from home and sell it. And at first you're doing it for friends and family, and then it picked up, and I was, taking orders from people that I'd never met before and word of mouth. And then through all of that, I was doing lots of collaborations on Instagram and kind of growing on social media as well. And so that spanned about 3 years. We added our daughter through adoption during that time. So as a mom of 3 toddlers, which was a lot, but baking was just this really beautiful outlet, something that I could do for fun with my kids as well. And time went on, and all of a sudden, our kids were going into school full time, pre-K and kindergarten, and my husband and I had always talked about having a little bakery. In fact, the side note, after I won, one of my college best friends sent me a text message, and she was like, I still remember you telling me that someday you wanted to own a bakery in 2000, and this was like in 2007 that I told her that. I didn't even remember it, but I thought, how wild, that, so I guess I was baking in college too. That's when I got my first KitchenAid mixer. But yeah, so my husband and I, we'd always talked about having a little something. And we didn't know how hard it was to have a business. And so we went into it quite naive, which I think sometimes is the best thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend being quite as naive as us.
But sometimes the fear and the questions make you stagnate. Right?
Absolutely.
And you're like, I need to maybe figure this out before I do this.
Yes.
And then that's a spiral in itself.
Yeah. Well, and if I had known, because we've been through some really, really difficult things, and there have been times where we didn't know if we were going to make it. And if I had known all of that, I probably would never have started the business. Mm-hmm. And if I had never started the business, I probably would have never ended up on the baking competition. And so, I think that in life we need to not be afraid of the unknown, because there's so much adventure in that. And so we just took kind of a leap of faith and decided to open up a bakery, and we sold our house, which is crazy, and moved into this like teeny tiny rental home for a year with our 3 kids and 2 dogs. And it was like a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, just teeny tiny. I mean,
wow.
Yes. And then COVID hit, and we weren't anticipating that. So we'd signed our lease and we're building out the shop, and then obviously the whole world shut down, and suddenly my husband was working at home with our, taking care of our 3 kids, trying to do their school, which, I mean, let's be real, they were in kindergarten, and we were like, you guys can just watch a little extra TV and we'll call that school.
This is educational.
Yeah, they pretty much raised themselves for a few months, but, and then just kind of trying to do that. So we opened June of 2020, and I just like to think that it was meant to be, because, everybody was living in such fear of the unknown, mm-hmm. right? And we were missing out on communication and being together, and those are things that are so important. Community is so important, and so I felt like during that time we were really just kind of like a spark of joy for people, because we were there to help people still celebrate, and we were there to just share sweetness with people, and so then. That was kind of the beginning of our brick and mortar. And then, as the years went on, we just opened at a real weird time. And so it was like pandemic. And then it was the cost of everything was crazy. And, and then a couple years later, one of our children got really ill. And that was about a 1.5 year long process of figuring out what was going on. And so I had to kind of pull way back from being present at the bakery. Fortunately, I had an amazing team that picked up a lot of slack, and they just kind of kept it running. But during that time, I mean, it was just very, very difficult. And so from a business standpoint, we got to a point where we just really didn't know if we were going to be able to make it. Steven, my husband, Steven, and I, who my husband is so amazing. He's always like my biggest cheerleader and kind of goes along with all of my crazy ideas. We started fostering our son, who we've now adopted, but in 2022, kind of the same time that our other son got sick, and the same time that the business was struggling, and all of these things were happening,
You're like, we don't have enough challenges.
We don't have enough challenges. And it really was a season. We all go through difficult seasons of life, and it really was a season of hardship and despair, and just really, just kind of taking one step forward. And just every day it was okay, we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep fighting, because that's what you do, and that's what you need to do, because seasons are seasons. And it really was the end of last year. Things were calmer in our home life, and we were just, we had been talking about what is the future going to look like for OKC Sweets, and we'd been talking worst case scenario type things, what if we just we can't do it anymore? Mm-hmm. What's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is you lose your business, but we still have each other, right?
Right.
We still have our family. And so at the end of the day, like the family, that's our core, and loving each other well and taking care of each other well and communicating and going through it together. And so I remember, and I told you faith is a huge part of my journey, but I remember laying in bed and I was just like, you know what, God, like this has been so hard. And I am so tired of just living in fear and of feeling stressed all of the time and carrying the weight of all of these burdens. And so I said, I give it to you and I give you my business. And if this is what you want for me, and if this is the plan, I'm all in and I'm going to work really, really hard. And I'm just going to you've got to make a way. And if this is not what you want for me, then I let go of it and I relinquish it. And I trust that you have another plan. And through all of that, there was also this kind of, I feel like, allowing myself to be generous with my business, because when you're struggling financially, it can feel really overwhelming when people are asking for donations and always it can feel like people are always needing something from you. But I also had this realization that if I'm giving my business to God, then I also can't outgive God. And so bringing in this generosity aspect of, I want to be financially stable and I would love to make money. But also at the end of the day, if I never make a dime, but I'm able to use this to bless other people and to glorify God and do all of that, that in and of itself, I decided was enough for me. And so I went into the new year and we go to church, we go to Crossings. It's a fabulous church. But we have this amazing group that we meet with every Sunday morning, our Sunday school class. And our teacher, he always challenges us to choose a word for the year. And so my word for the year was surrender. And so I literally spent the next just months, I would wake up every morning and it was just kind of like a reminder to myself. And I was like, all right, I surrender this day, whatever comes, I'm here for it. I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to, try to be a good boss and a good business owner and, do things right financially and be a great mom. And I'm here for that. I also have a really great therapist. So I think that's important too, because you have to take care of yourself when you're going through so much. But just kind of waking up with that mindset every single day. And here's my business. I want it to be a blessing to other people. And it started this wild year. So in April, I was approached by a recruiter who they have recruiters for these shows that are on social media. And she reached out, sent me an email and was like, hey, if this is something you think you would be interested in, Gordon Ramsay is doing this new baking competition. It's a spin-off of Next Level Chef. You can fill out an application and we can do an interview. And so I filled out an application and I had that kind of initial interview and she passed me on to the next interview. And so the next interview, was one where I had to look presentable and it was long. And then they condensed that into a couple minutes and I think they send it to maybe the executive producers. I think Gordon himself even sees it. I feel like somebody told me that. And off of that interview, they choose, they whittle it down to whatever number they choose to fly out. So that happened in April. And she told me, the second interview, I don't remember exactly when that was, but she told me at that interview, you're not going to hear anything for a while, so just go live your life. And so I just
That's easy.
Yeah, I know, right? And so that was one of those things where I told myself, I was like, if they ask me to come on this show, I'm going to say yes. And then I just prayed about it, and I'm like, if I've learned anything, it's easier if I leave it in God's hands. And so I did, and then just kind of went on through the midst of that. The thunder made it into the playoffs. And so at my bakery, when the Thunder made it into the playoffs, we were like, it'd be really fun to have some Thunder-themed cookies in the case.
Yeah.
So we put some Thunder-themed cookies in the case, and people loved them. And so each game, it was like we would add something new to the case. And then they just kept winning and winning and winning. And so pretty soon, our entire case was Thunder-themed. And so on game days, we would have a full display of just Thunder-themed treats. And then people started coming in on non-game days, like, where are the Thunder treats? And we're like, all right, I guess we need to do this every single day. And then one of my employees had this idea to put the players' faces on these little mini cakes that we make. And so we did that. And I think it was News 9. Yeah, it was. My friend Anna Dennison at News 9 reached out. She wasn't my friend yet, but now she is. But she reached out because she had seen our stuff on TikTok. And they came out, and it was so funny. I'll never forget. We were doing all this Thunder stuff. We had been on the news, and the next day I actually went to summer camp with my daughter, which was hard because we'd been getting busier after such a slow season. Mm-hmm. And I went to summer camp with my daughter, 'cause family first, and I got a message from one of my employees, and it was a little video, and it was there the morning, and there was a line out our door all the way down the entire shopping strip.
That's awesome.
Of people. And we had a line for so long. They sold out by like 2:00. It was a record day. It was the craziest thing. And then June, we just ended up, it was like every day was a new record day. And that really was just the start of something super beautiful with our business, because we were able to reach so many people. We had Thunder players' families coming in because they wanted cakes with their son's picture on it. And it was so special because that was something we were able to gift to them, right? We never charged the parents for a cake. And it was just such a neat way to get involved with the community and just realize how special Oklahoma City was and is. Mm-hmm. And so then I think it was July, my family, there are like 12 of us, like my family and then my parents and my siblings, and we all went and ate, was at Dotwo. We went and ate Chinese food after church one day, and we were sitting there, and there was a pile of fortune cookies in the center. It was the end of the meal, and I thought to myself, I'm going to take this one, and I picked this one particular fortune cookie out, and I opened it up, and I hadn't heard anything from the show at that point, but I opened it up, and the fortune cookie said, "You will have an incredible culinary experience during your travels." And I was like, Okay. All right, God. I think that's a little wink through a fortune cookie. And so
I'm down with that.
That was the craziest. I still have it because, I knew that I had that interview and then I was just kind of waiting to hear. And so that was, I felt like that was just kind of further confirmation that if things panned out, like it was what I was meant to do. And so I think it was August, I got a phone call from someone, and a man, like a producer, I don't know, I can't remember what all the different titles are, but he was telling me just all of the details. If you get picked, then, XYZ, and you'll travel to Ireland, and this is kind of what it would look like. And at the end, he was like, do you have any, and part of it was, you may or may not end up being on the show because we'll take more people out, than we'll necessarily make it. And at the end, he was like, do you have any questions? And I was like, well, what do you think like the time frame is for when we find out if we're chosen or not? And he said, congratulations, you're going to Ireland. I was like, oh, okay.
In the same conversation?
In the same conversation, yeah. He said, he was like, if I had told you that at the beginning, then I don't think you would have heard everything else that I said.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I thought that was fair. And so I called my husband. He was so excited. My kids lost their minds. And so then everything was just kind of, a whirlwind. I had about a month. And so my bakery, OKC Sweets, we specialize in cookies and cupcakes and macarons, and we do several different types of cookies. And then we have some other really fun things, cakes. We do party cakes. And so I bake a lot, but I'm tired by the end of the day. So I'm not going home and just like baking more at home usually. And so I was like, I gotta, right. So I was like, I've got to brush up on all of these things that I don't just make a lot of. So I spent the next month just baking up a storm.
Practicing. You got to practice.
I mean, I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and we gained weight. And it was, I mean, I even made a beef Wellington at one point because I was like, if we do something savory, like I need to be able to do that. And so I did a lot of practicing just things, shoe pastry and just all sorts of things that we don't do necessarily at the shop, but that
you had to know.
Yeah, I wanted to do
you
at
already
home.
knew, but
right,
get
just
back into the habit,
refreshing,
right.
And so I left. I think it was September 11th. Yeah, so I left for Ireland on September 11th and flew there, and it was just like the craziest experience.
It's probably
of my
like
life.
a week that they did all this in, or probably
we were there. I think
like
start to finish, so including travel, 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you came back, and did they even? Were they like, can you tell your family? You couldn't tell anyone.
I was able to tell my family, but they were under the umbrella of you cannot say anything, so they all had to keep the secret, which is a big secret to keep.
Yeah. It's exciting.
I know, so exciting.
Yeah. Man, that's wild. Okay, so let's talk about, now I'm like going to fanboy a little bit and talk about Next Level Baker.
Let's do it.
All right, so what was that experience like? Like you show up on set and obviously Gordon Ramsay's there, Carla is there, and then I forgot her name.
Candace Nelson.
Yes. Founder of Sprinkles.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are some personalities there. Like, do you get like interaction time with them, or are you like at a distance always participating or as a contestant?
Yeah, so the first couple of days were just full of like interviews and wardrobe and all these different things. And then the first interaction that we had with them was the first day we filmed.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we're all standing there and they like walk out and you can see there's like quite a bit of distance. So they came out, we're at a distance, and we had interacted a little bit with each other, but we didn't know each other very well at this point. So it's all just, everything's kind of brand new. And they gave us our challenge. We didn't know who would be on what floor with us. And so then we went and got on the elevator and like headed to our floors, which if you saw the show, I'm in the basement first with the home chefs or the home bakers. And I'm not sad that I was in the basement for the first round because I really feel like there's nowhere to go but up, right?
That's right.
Or I guess you could stay in the basement also.
Which you didn't.
No, I didn't. And I'm super thankful for that. But it was so amazing because Gordon Ramsay was in the basement with us first. And so, I was so excited when he walked through the elevator doors. That was the coolest thing ever because I had watched all of the Next Level chefs, right? And so I felt very just excited, and like it was such an honor to be there anyway, to have been chosen to be on that show.
Well, one of 12 people.
Yeah, and it's such a unique, Next Level Chef and Next Level Baker, it's such a unique reality cooking competition, right? The basement and the middle floor and the top, and with the platform grab and all of that.
Yeah.
And so to get to be a part of that was, I had dreamt of being on, a baking show. And back in the day when I would watch Cupcake Wars, I would like picture myself being on that show. So meeting Candace Nelson really was a full circle moment for me. I got to bake with her. I think it was my worst bake, unfortunately, but my third one. And so that was so neat because I've followed her for years and years.
Was the third one the whipped cream incident?
It was.
That's what it was, right? I was like, I would say no fault of your own at that point, but things happen in the kitchen.
Things happen in the kitchen.
Which you handled it, at least from what they showed. I don't know what the behind the scenes was, but you handled it like a champ and with grace. You're like, it is what it is. Let's move on. And it wasn't because, some contestants get all worked up and be like, how'd you do this to me? And blah, blah, blah. But
I think what you see is definitely what you get. They would have absolutely showed it if I lost my mind.
That's what they hope for.
I know. And in fact, it was such an accident. And Chloe and I are really good friends. And when I saw that clip, I called her and I was like, oh no, they're making it a thing.
They have to.
I know, they had to.
Yeah.
And so it really was, so in going there, right, my mindset was this is a competition, and I did go competing to win. But at the same time, I have a heart for people, right? And I want people to feel cared about and loved. I feel like that's kind of my calling in life. And I feel like if the world had more love and kindness, I think that it would be a much better place, right?
100%.
If there was less division, we don't have to agree about everything, right? But we can love each other.
That's why we're all different, but
right. Exactly. And so that very much was my heart going into this, was to like love people well, which probably sounds weird just because we're going into a competition, but I was like, I love people anyway. And so I wanted to kind of be true to who I am and who I feel like God's called me to be. And so in that moment, when she accidentally took my whipped cream, which is funny, they called it stolen. Like the little video clip was called stolen, but it was such an accident. But in that moment, it was like, it didn't even occur to me to be angry, because that just wasn't really my personality. But it's been neat to see, to have people message me about that and talk about like handling that with grace and kindness. And I'm like, that's what we all need to do, and I've had a lot of parents reach out to me about how, it was so nice to see someone who cared about other people and treated people well and helped people while also competing, showing that you can do both things and having kindness and all of that. And so I think that's like a really great takeaway, is that in life, like, people are gonna do things that hurt you, whether it's on purpose or not. And if we can have a little more grace with each other, like, it goes so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get through.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And when you can respond in such a way, I mean, it goes back to like a soft answer turns away wrath, right? If you can respond in a way that's like regulated and calm, like, then you don't get worked up yourself.
Exactly.
And so, and a lot of that has come through years of like parenting children with big emotions and, yeah, I mean, I've worked hard on myself to respond calmly. That's not necessarily always
naturally like this.
Right. No, I've worked hard on that. And so I think you do have to do the work to just, but.
Well, your initial instinct, sometimes you have to overcome that and be like, nah, it's a mistake. It happens, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I felt like I was so pleased that I was able to. I mean, we all are still friends, right? Like, we have a group chat and we talk to each other.
And you're spending 10 days with each other.
Spending 10 days with each other,
Probably weren't seeing anyone else.
Yeah, and they're all so amazing. They're amazing bakers, but more than that, they're amazing humans and business owners. And I think just really being able to have that experience together bonds you anyway. But I mean, every single one of them, I would call them a friend.
Yeah, no, that was. I saw that incident and I was like, oh, man. And that's what put you in the basement again.
It did. Well, to be fair, it wasn't the whipped cream that put me in the basement. But yes, it was funny, the timing of it. But that particular bake, I was so sad. The kitchen was actually, I mean, it was extremely hot. When I got home that night, my clothes were just soaked. I was just drenched in sweat. But I had made this beautiful tart. It was like a gingerbread-inspired tart. And I know for a fact that my tart shell was really nice. It crunched. It was perfect. But I made a grapefruit curd and then a pastry cream. And just the timing and the heat, they just didn't set. Anyway, it was a huge bummer. I'm going to have to make it again. I haven't had time.
Got to redeem yourself.
I got to redeem myself. Yeah. I did actually, in the final bake, I made pastry cream as one of the fillings. So my gingerbread cake filling had an orange pastry cream in it. And so they didn't talk a lot about the fillings, but that was my redemption for the pastry cream.
That was one thing just on the production aspect of it. I know it was a lot shorter than the usual season of next level chef.
Yes.
But because it was so short, they were eliminating people so quickly.
Oh man,
One
left
mistake
and
you're
right.
out.
I know.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
Yeah.
And also scary because, we went out there for the very first one and they were like, 3 of you are going home.
After the first bake.
Yeah, we had
That's
no
crazy.
idea.
Oh, you didn't know how the elimination was going to work?
Well, no, not until he was like, 3 of you will be going home,
Oh my
one
gosh.
from each category. And then it was like, whoa, this just got real.
Yeah.
So you go down there and then when the platform comes down, I think one thing that's really neat and like the production side of it, all of the people in charge of that are just like incredible. And I think they're geniuses with their field because how they put all that together blows
Seriously.
my mind.
I just kind of want to show up and just watch them do it. I'm like, how do you even navigate all of this?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And to see all the cameras and
Yeah.
sometimes they'll have clips and I'm like, how did they get that? Because you don't see cameras ever. Maybe once per episode somebody might come through with a camera. But other than that, there were no
Really?
visible cameras on set.
Oh, I just thought it'd be littered with people running around taking shots and
Yeah.
things like that.
Isn't that wild? I
Yeah.
mean, there were tons like out and I don't even know how to describe it. And so to see it all come together was just amazing.
Man.
Yeah, it was incredible. So that first bake I had in the basement, and it was with Chef Ramsay, and that was wild. The first platform grab, it's like, I think we got maybe 25 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Not very long at all.
From the time you leave the door.
Right.
So it's not even like at the platform.
Right. You got to get there. And I was so slow. I'm going to have to practice running.
Well, I don't know. I thought you were like calm. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm going to just get there, get the stuff I need, and just, yeah.
Well, and I
And we'll
think
just win
that
it.
I think that all kind of goes back to I had such peace about being there. You know how a lot of times you have like a knot in your stomach because you're so nervous.
Yeah.
And I would say there were definitely nerves, but I did feel calm, and I think that really helped me in executing. And there were definitely times where I was, stressed for sure, but. Yeah, I was so happy to be there. I just loved the experience.
Ah, that's so cool. Yeah. I feel like I could talk about this for the next hour if you want to.
I know. It really is fun to talk about. I can't believe that I actually got to do it.
That finale was crazy.
It was cool.
Cooking on all 3 levels. So if someone's not familiar with the show, how this works is they have 3 levels of kitchens.
Yes.
You've got a top kitchen, which has everything you could dream of. Top of the line, amazing equipment. The middle kitchen, which is a pretty good kitchen.
It's a nice kitchen.
Like
still.
a good commercial kitchen with really good equipment. And then the basement.
Yeah.
That is, you can't even find a rolling pin.
Yeah. It's like worse than the thrift store equipment.
like dented pans and pots, and you're using a PVC pipe as a rolling pin.
Yes.
It's wild. Like, I think it seems like they have all the stuff, but you have to be creative in how you use the
Yes, I think what they told us was there is workable equipment in the basement, and you have to find what you need. And you also had to share it. And the ovens were smaller, so you had to make sure that the pan you had fit the oven you needed to use, because that was one problem I had. When I was making macarons, I had to pivot and literally move my already piped macarons to a different tray because they did not fit in the ovens. Yeah, and you didn't see that. But there was a very large drop from the middle to the bottom.
It's a big drop.
Yeah, the middle, you have your station, and everybody had some equipment at their stations, and then you would have to go find some equipment, right? I actually was most discombobulated in the middle because I had never baked in the middle kitchen before. I was either at the top or at the bottom.
The teaspoons?
I literally, I was kind of thankful they didn't show too much because I was running around that middle kitchen like a chicken with my head cut off because I didn't know where anything was. And I'd had no time to orient myself at all. So I go into the middle of the kitchen and I can't find anything. I could not find anything. You know, the basement, I'd spent a couple of bakes down there. So I had a good feel for, you know, I was like showing people where, like, let me introduce you to my humble abode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I felt comfortable. I hate to say it, but I felt comfortable in the basement. And in the top was just so beautiful. It was like the heaven of kitchens.
As the kitchen dreams are made of.
It
right?
is. You have your own huge oven. Everybody had their own like beautiful knife set and all of the pans that you need. I mean, literally, and it's all right there at your station. Loved the top kitchen. To be honest, the basement kitchen kind of felt a little bit like my personal home kitchen. So maybe that's why I felt a little more at home in it. But my husband was like, "Don't say that, Stefanie." Like, I can't help it. It's just it's real life, right? We've got to share the good and the bad, the good and the ugly. But yeah, so that middle kitchen, it threw me for a loop.
That's funny.
I know.
But you made it out. You did it. Oh, so how the finale worked was they had to cook on all 3 levels at the same time because it was a 3-tiered cake, and each tier needed to be cooked on a different level.
And not just cooked; it had to be filled and base coated, or filled.
Oh, that's right, because you could only assemble.
We could only assemble and do our final decorations in the last 30 minutes.
Wild.
Yeah, and we only had 4 hours to do it.
Who comes up with this?
I think Gordon Ramsay. He is a genius and also diabolical.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. And you know, 4 hours sounds in theory like a long time, but when you're moving from floor to floor to floor, and we weren't allowed to take anything. The only things we could take from floor to floor were what we had taken off the platform grab. So I was looking for teaspoons, right, in the middle kitchen. Well, I knew exactly where they were in the top kitchen, but I was not allowed. I couldn't bring those to the middle kitchen because they weren't from the platform grab. Yeah, so that made it that much more challenging. And then you just have to think about like remembering to take things with you, you know. So if I got cranberries in the basement in that initial grab, but my cranberry cake was in the middle, I had to remember to take those with me, my cranberries and my oranges with me when I went to the middle, you know, and then if I forgot, I had to go back to the basement. So I remember I had vanilla bean paste and I forgot it and I needed it in the top floor and then I needed it in the middle floor. And I think I went up and down the elevator like 3 times just because of the vanilla bean paste.
And the elevator isn't fast.
The elevator's not fast.
No,
it absolutely was not. And, you know, if somebody else was on the elevator, you know, let's say they were going to a different floor, then you had to wait for it to get there. I wish that I had a tracker that told me how many steps I took and I ran the entire time. I lost 5 pounds like in the week that I was there because we ran. We were just running all the time.
Man.
Yeah. So it's a good little workout. I was in pretty good shape when I got home.
Yeah, put me on another show. I'm ready.
I know. Let's do this again. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. What an experience. And you made OKC proud. You made yourself proud, your family proud, and came out on top.
Yeah, it was so
amazing.
Special. Someone told me that in all of the Next Level chefs and the now Next Level baker, I'm the first person on the show from Oklahoma. And so getting to go and like represent Oklahoma City and my family and my business, like that already was so special. But then to have actually won the entire thing, it still blows my mind. I'm just like super humbled and so grateful that I got to have that experience. I can't even believe it was real life. To have, you know, and I hope that when people watch it, they really kind of see my heart in just how I want to treat people and doing that while still having a competition.
Yeah.
Just like showing that like kindness is more important and like how we treat people is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And like, let's love each other well.
Yeah.
You know?
No, 100%. And I mean, I feel like what you put out is what you get back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And having all these amazing friendships, and that's like such a cool aspect too, is I never would have met any of these people had it not been for this show. And I didn't actually know who any of them were, which I guess I was living under a rock because several of them have massive social media followings.
I saw that. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
They're like already celebrities.
Yeah.
But I did not allow myself to look anybody up during the competition.
That's probably good.
Pretty smart, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, shh, then I got this.
Yeah, because if you look someone up, then you're going to get intimidated.
Right.
And I was like, right now, we are all just people.
Yeah, we're just baking, and I know how to bake.
We're baking, and so kind of staying focused and keeping my head in the game that way. I think that really helped as well, because then I wasn't, freaked out about, oh my word, well, this person is so incredible at this, and they're all incredible.
Yeah.
And that would be something I would say is, if you're listening, go look up all of these people and follow them, because what they do is so impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Something that was interesting that I thought was interesting was none of the pro chefs made it to the finale.
Yeah.
Which was surprising.
Yeah, definitely surprising.
But that shows you the level of skill that was there at the competition. So that's wild.
I know. It really is, especially for myself. So, and people have asked me why I was in the home baker category, since I own a business. And the reason I was a home baker, and I was thankful that I was in that category, because that's what I identify as, right? And it's because I'm self-taught.
Right.
And I started on my own, and I've learned on my own, and so I'm self-taught.
Right.
And so, but I think it shows that you really can master something, even if that's not where you start, right? And it's funny because I've told people this. I've always kind of just felt like a poser. Am I really, I know I own a bakery and I know everything tastes delicious, but feeling that self-doubt of do I necessarily measure up? And I think going on this show and having someone like Gordon Ramsay, commend my food and say that my macarons are good enough to be a gift and compliment my flavor profile and, love my lobster pot pie, which was a savory bake,
I noticed you didn't make Wellington for him.
I did not. I think I would have died. Curled up into a ball. But that just, it was a good reminder for myself to not put myself down, and feel confident in where I am and who I am, and realize that if you have a gift, use it, share it with people.
Yeah.
Gifts are meant to be shared.
That's awesome. The self-doubt's probably the biggest enemy, I'd say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that can go on 24/7.
Yes. Self-doubt and comparison. I
Yeah.
think those things, they rob us of joy. I like to say that comparison is a thief of joy. And so it's better to just if you enjoy doing something, do it, and you don't have to compare yourself, because you're not someone else. You're you.
So easy to do these days, though.
Yeah.
That's
It's
kind of
hard.
the unfortunate part of the good and bad of social media, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's so easy to figure out what everyone else is doing and then kind of compare yourself to that and be like, but. Yeah.
And we all fall in that trap. I fall in that trap, and so I think a lot of that is taking care of yourself, physically and mentally. And like I said, I have a really, really good therapist. I don't go all the time. I don't need to go all the time anymore. But that has been something that is a way that I've taken care of myself, because when you go through really, really hard things, it can be very isolating, right? So when our son was really sick, or when my twins were born, that's very isolating. And that's really hard on your mental health too. And so making sure that you're taking the steps to take care of yourself, because it's like the whole, the airplane with the oxygen mask. The parent is supposed to put it on first and then give it to your kids. And so you can't be taking care of other people all the time if you're not taking care of yourself. And that's something that I've learned the hard way, and because it's hard to do. It can feel selfish taking care of yourself. But it's not. It's actually what you're supposed to do. And so making sure that you have time for that, and that you're not only pouring into other people. I think that's also really important. And so finding balance with that. And I am not perfect at that at all. I'm always learning, and but I love getting to share kind of my story with other people. And I hope it's an encouragement. And, you know, I know I've had a lot of people, this has been kind of neat, say that like their kids have been so inspired to bake and cool. Things like that from watching the show. And it's so sweet. Kids will come in the shop and want to take a picture with me.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. It's precious.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I don't know. This whole experience has been such a gift to me. And so I'm excited to see what happens next.
I can see you as a really good mentor.
I would love to do that. Yeah. It's so funny. I told someone the other day, I was like, I feel weird like saying this out loud, but I really enjoyed being on TV. Like the whole experience was awesome. And I think it'd be really neat to get to be in that role someday of like the mentor, you know, or the judge. And to be able to do that and encourage people who are like in my position or the position that I was in where I'm competing. And, you know, because I think a lot of times on those shows, it can be, they're not all as nice or fun, you know, but people, when you go on a show like that, like you're really putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
I mean, they're going to show everything.
They're going to show everything. And I told the other competitors, I said it so many times. I was like, we are such brave people. I really believe that. I think it takes a lot of bravery. And I think actually doing that competition, I've had a lot of fear in my life of just different things. And when I left that competition, regardless of the outcome, just going there, meeting the people I met, experiencing what I experienced, I truly felt going into the finale like that I had already won. Like I had an opportunity. So my husband and I, we've adopted a daughter and our daughter and son, and one was international adoption and one was through foster care. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to talk about foster care to a couple of the contestants that were like, we were talking about our families, and they were saying they didn't have kids, but they had been interested in foster care. And so having the opportunity to talk about that, I told my husband that if that was literally the only reason that I'm here was to be able to talk about foster care, like that made this whole experience worth it, right? Because it's so much bigger than just baking. It's like those are the kinds of things that matter, right? People. And so it was incredible to win, and I'm so grateful. Like it's been so exciting to share this with everybody. But I felt like I'd already won. And so then doing all of that and being brave and having the courage to put myself out there, because there have been times where that's been really difficult for me. I left, this is so goofy, but I left feeling like Kevin from Home Alone when he's like, I'm not afraid anymore. Do you hear me? I'm not afraid anymore. But I kind of felt like that. I felt like a lot of that fear that I'd carried of just putting myself out there, I felt like I kind of left that behind. And, you know, now, I mean, there are people that don't agree with the fact that I won, and there are people that are negative, and you're going to come across that.
Always
in social media. But I think the best thing that we can do is, you know, you kind of have to ignore that noise and move forward and choose kindness over, like, I don't respond to those kinds of things.
Because, why get sucked down into that?
Yeah, right? You can't. And so, that's kind of my journey, and it's been pretty crazy.
Easier said than done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all fall into that trap, but it's good to have the reminders, you know, and it's just kind of like, I don't let myself get sucked into reading reviews, because that I'm a pleaser, right? I'm codependent, and I've worked on my codependency, but it's still there, and it still comes out. And so, but that's something that my husband can handle. And so realizing, you know, what you kind of have to step back from, so that you don't kind of get stuck in that trap and in that loop is really good. And then practicing what you preach.
That's tough, because just personal experience, you know, I do the food tours in Oklahoma, and whenever we get reviews, you know, I think 99% of them have been 5 stars, which is awesome, right? I couldn't ask for more, but that one that wasn't, I was like, what went wrong here?
Right.
What happened? And I was like, okay, it's just one person. We've had thousands of people come on. It's fine.
Yeah.
But even just doing that was so hard.
And isn't it amazing how you can have like 99 incredible comments of people praising you and what you do, and then that one negative comment is the thing that brings it down.
Yeah.
And that's like a good reminder. And my mom says this phrase all the time, the issue's not the issue. And it's kind of like that person having a bad experience, like more than likely, it might not have even had anything to do with you. Like,
Yeah.
because you got to think about like the person that's taking the time to like put somebody else down instead of coming to you and saying, hey, like I had this problem. Could we figure it out? That's the way to do it. That's the way to do things. If something doesn't go right, we always try to, if somebody's not pleased, I mean, we don't get things perfect all the time. And if somebody's not pleased, we try to always make it right. But when somebody chooses to just go straight to a review and say, this is what went wrong, and then they never gave us the opportunity to make things right, it's like, I am sorry that you felt like you had a bad experience, but at the end of the day, you didn't even give me an opportunity to make that right. And so you just can't hold on to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, anyway.
It's hard. It's hard.
I was like, there was this one.
No, we got to leave that in the past. Yeah.
And it's funny. It's literally the one. Like, it's crazy.
The one. It's the one. And I think that's just the human nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you gotta remind yourself of the good.
Ask me about the good things people have said. It's hard to remember.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go back and look at that.
I know, I do. I just need to refresh every day. Yeah.
Yep. Or find someone else to read the reviews for you.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Yep.
I don't know if because I didn't want to know how it's going. Oh, that's hard. No, but that's awesome. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your story and words of wisdom.
It was such a pleasure to be here. I absolutely loved this. It was awesome.
Awesome. Okay, before you go off.
Yes.
OKC Sweets.
OKC
Let's
Sweets.
bring it back to OKC Sweets. Where can people follow you? Where do they find you? How do they get the treats with the Thunder players?
Yeah, absolutely.
All the stuff that people are looking for.
Okay, so our brick and mortar is 7306 Northwestern Avenue. So it's like close to Nichols Hills, just on Western, and we're open Tuesdays through Saturdays. And then the website is okcsweets.com. You can find me on social media, Instagram. My main Instagram for myself is just at Stefanie Embry, with Stefanie with an F, not a PH. STEFANIE And then the bakery page is at OKC Sweets Bakery. And then if you want to follow on TikTok, it's just OKC Sweets.
Easy.
Easy peasy.
What made you pick the name OKC Sweets?
My husband picked that name.
Oh.
Yeah, way back when I was doing it out of my house. We were trying to think of names. Naming things is not my strong suit. And yeah, my husband's in marketing and all of those. He's amazing. And so he was like, how about OKC Sweets? And that was not taken. So yeah. And it was perfect.
That's the first thing you got to check.
Yep.
Is can I get the domain? Can I get the handles?
I know. So super thankful.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So yeah, go out there, follow Stefanie on her personal page and OKC Sweets. Yeah. Go get some great baked goods.
We make everything from scratch.
As you should.
As we should. Just wanted to put that out there.
It's 100% sweets. You don't do any savory stuff, right?
We don't do any savory stuff. No.
Okay. Would you ever do it?
I don't know. I'm just kind of like, we'll see where the future leads. But I don't, as of right now, probably not. I don't know. We'll see.
You're like, we're selling out anyway. What more do you want me to do?
I know. I do always try to kind of look at what people around me are doing because I'm not looking to like take away business from anybody in adding new things. And so, yeah. But I also we won't get into I believe in community over competition too. I love supporting other bakeries and local businesses and things like that. So
it's how you thrive.
It is. Yeah. It is. We're here to support each other, and there's enough people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, so go out there, follow her. While you're there, follow us as well at OKC Foodcast. And again, before we sign off, quick thank you to our sponsor, Vault 405, for sponsoring the pod and giving us this great podcast recording studio to record in. If you're looking for a co-working space, come to downtown Edmond at Wall 405. Stefanie, thanks for taking this time and recording. And I know you're super busy, so really grateful for you coming in and recording the pod with me. And until next time, eat well and be happy.
All right. Thank you so much.